Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends Podcast. The podcast designed to help you feel, see, and think differently about the podiatry profession. As I mentioned last week, throughout December, I'm doing something a little bit different. I will be releasing a series of 4 shorter solo episodes, one each week, designed to help you reset, refocus, and realign before you step into the brand new year, which is only a few weeks away. Last week was episode 396. And it was titled Embracing the Plateau, What to Do When Growth Stalls in Your Podiatry Practice. In that episode, I discussed how to shift your mindset and navigate those flat periods in business without panicking and burning out. But if you missed it, you don't have to go back and listen to it for this episode to make sense. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about why you started this podiatry journey in the first place. And it's about reigniting your why and rediscovering your purpose in podiatry. We're coming to the end of the year, and December is naturally a reflective month. It's that time where a lot of people look back at what's happened over the last 11 and a half months. But I've been guilty of it myself. I would say a lot of other podiatry business owners have as well. We don't stop long enough to actually reflect. We give the past year a bit of a quick review, because we're so eager to get on with the new year, and it's sort of like a clean slate. So this episode is a personal invitation from me to you to slow down and to just zoom out a little bit and reignite your why before you dive headfirst into planning for 2026. And as I said, most people do not do this. They're so eager to start the new year and put the current year behind them, thinking all their issues and problems will be forgotten and left behind. But that's not what actually happens. Often this baggage follows us from one year to the next if you do not stop and reflect on your purpose and reignite why you got onto this podiatry journey in the first place. Let's begin. Let me ask you a very simple question. Can you remember why you got into podiatry in the first place? Now, I can. It was because of orthotics. A friend of mine from school, Lyndon Hommening, happened to be at school. Well, actually, I'll go back a step. Lyndon and I went through from grade 1 to grade 12 together. Primary school, high school. Lyndon went off to university. I decided to go back, repeat grade 12, because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Later on, I found out I wanted to do something in healthcare. Lyndon happened to be at the school that particular day when I was writing down my preferences, and he showed me what an orthotic was and what they did. And I loved everything about them. I loved how they were made. I loved what they could do. I loved the problems that they could solve. It wasn't about making a lot of orthotics, making a lot of money from orthotics when I first started podiatry. Even though I did, it was just I was so fascinated by them and I wanted to get better at making them, which is why it became a massive focus of my podiatry business and my career. And it's probably why my coaching clients, their orthotic numbers are usually going up, because it's an area that I'm passionate about. And on this particular podcast, this is one of the questions that I ask most of my guests. What got them into podiatry in the first place? Now, some will say that they didn't get into physiotherapy, which may be the truth, but that's not what steered them towards healthcare in the first place. And let's be honest, they could have left podiatry after finishing and switched to physiotherapy, but they don't. They stay. So let's go back to the original question. Can you remember why you got into podiatry? Maybe it was about helping people. Maybe you have a caring nature. Maybe it was just the science behind podiatry, or was it the biomechanics, or you knew it had something to do with anatomy. Like I said, for me, it was orthotics. I knew nothing else. I didn't know the other aspects of podiatry. Then, after graduating, you may have had a desire to build a business, be your own boss, or create freedom for you and your family. That's what kept you going. And that was definitely one of my long-term goals. But this is interesting. Over time, things change. Patients, staff, admin, insurance, different regulations, they all pile up one after another. And that original spark that you had slowly gets buried. You start focusing more on what you need to do each day and how to do it, making sure you've crossed all your T's, dotted all your I's so that no one gets angry or gets upset with you. And because of all of these distractions, you forget about why you do it. That's when the grind sets in day after day. You still care about your work, but it doesn't energize you the way that it used to. You feel flat, regardless of how much sleep. You seem to always feel tired, and you sometimes feel a little bit directionless. And what I've come to understand is that when podiatrists hit this place, it's not usually a lack of patience. It's not usually a team member problem. It's not usually even a business problem. It's usually a meaning problem. Because here's something you must understand. Your purpose is your fuel. If you feel like you're running on empty, check your connection to your purpose. I know that can sometimes sound way too simple to be the solution, but it usually is. When you're deeply connected to why you're doing what you're doing, it gives you energy to get through those hard days, courage to make difficult decisions, focus when you feel pulled in too many directions, resilience when business gets messy, and your why, your purpose, gets your lazy butt out of bed in the morning. But if you've drifted away from that core purpose, that why, that gave you that initial drive, no amount of success in podiatry will fill that hollow space. You might be making great money. You might be running a clinic that is just full every single day. You might be winning business awards and even leading a great team. But you'll still feel there's something missing. That's when it's time to reignite your why. So let's take a look at some reflection questions. So these questions will help reignite that why, reignite your purpose. If you're driving, just listen to what I'm about to say in these questions, but go back at some stage and listen to the episode again because you must complete these questions. Believe me, you'll thank me later. If you're not driving, go and grab a pen and sit down and get ready for it. Okay, so here's the first reflection question. What originally drew you to podiatry? Think back to your early days. What excited you about podiatry? When you get back to when you were a student, what excited you about podiatry as you were learning it? As new things were getting put in front of you, what did you sort of go, wow, I love this. This is why I'm so glad I chose this profession. The next question is, what parts of your job make you feel most alive? Is it high risk or complex cases? Is it solving MSK puzzles? Is it just connecting with patients or even mentoring team members? It could be working with sporting teams, or you may love public speaking or just educating the community. There's going to be something about that actually makes you feel more alive than anything else. The third question, if you could only do one type of work in podiatry next year, what would you choose? Now that question cuts through noise really, really fast, and it shows where your energy is. Now, remember, there's no right or wrong answers here. If you're mentally arguing with yourself, that is perfectly normal. If you know there's one type of work that you'd love to be doing more in 2026, but then you start hearing yourself saying, oh, but I love all aspects of podiatry, I can't possibly decide. That's a stupid question, Tyson. That is your robot brain, the autopilot trying to actually take control. And I'll point this out, the brain's autopilot system, it's often stronger and faster than our conscious willpower, making it easier for the brain to default to familiar behaviors just to conserve energy. So basically your brain's sort of saying, let's not change what we know already works. If we know we love all aspects, let's just keep doing that. Let's not focus on something where you actually have to use mental energy to make that happen. We tend to argue with ourselves when we know we should do something, but don't, because of a conflict between our rational self and our emotional or subconscious desires. This internal battle often arises from a struggle between what we know is right and what we actually want to do. It's usually fueled by emotions like fear and the need to avoid discomfort or pain. Fourth question, what frustrates you most? And what does that frustration reveal about what you care about? Our irritations are often a flip side of our values. If disorganization annoys you, then maybe order, efficiency, and teamwork matter to you more. If lazy team members really annoy you and frustrate you, then maybe high standards and a great work ethic are part of your DNA. Reflecting on what triggers your frustration can provide insight into your priorities, challenges, and what needs attention in your life. The last question, what do you want your legacy in podiatry to be? Now, we're not talking about money or business growth, more about your reputation or the impact that you're going to have on the profession. You may not even have thought about this, but what do you want to be known for? One day, you will walk away from podiatry. And when you do walk away, what do you want your colleagues to actually say or think about you? Now, this next step, write down your answers and then ask yourself, is my business or career currently aligned with my answers? They may or may not be. And then think about, where have you drifted? If you knew where you wanted to be, you knew why you got into podiatry and what you wanted to do, where have you drifted? And then ask yourself the question, where can I realign? Now, going way back to what I said earlier on about loving orthotics, that's what got me into podiatry. But once I first started my business and my career got going, I was doing everything. Anything that brought in money was what I was willing to do. But eventually I realized, hang on, this is what I loved most about podiatry. This is where I should be putting my focus. As soon as I started doing that and started letting go of other work, life became so much easier. Okay, this is the interesting part, is once you rediscover your why, the next step is to live it, to realign your clinic or your career with that purpose. I'm going to explain 4 ways to bring your purpose, your why, back into the center of your podiatry business and career. Number 1, let it guide your patient focus. Are you still treating the kinds of patients that light you up? Or are you just tolerating appointments that drain you? You don't need to serve everyone to build a thriving practice. Nursing homes, home visits, satellite clinics, if they do not float your boat, then slowly stop doing them. And forcing other team members to do them is not the answer long term, because if that team member suddenly leaves, bang, it's all of a sudden it's back on you again. Your clinic needs to evolve. So evolve your clinic so you're doing what lights you up every day. And of course, this is not going to happen overnight. It takes time. But it all starts by making the decision to do it. This is one of my biggest challenges with coaching clients sometimes in the beginning, is getting them to think about this, letting go of stuff that no longer serves them and doing this over a period of time. And if you're an employee, you should be talking to your employer about what lights you up. They need to understand that. Okay, number 2 is let it shape your marketing. Your why should come through in your website. It should come through in your social media posts, your conversations with your patients and conversations with referrer. They should really know what floats your boat, what lights you up, why you're doing podiatry. People are drawn to clarity and are drawn to passion. I'd say 20 times a year, I see podiatrists, at least 20 times a year, in different Facebook groups. Has anyone got any ideas on how I can get more patients? Now, on a positive note, there's always people offering suggestions, which I think is great. But taking on board random marketing tactics without making sure they align with your purpose will just cause more frustration. At my Podiatry Marketing Masterclass, I talk about this a lot and the importance of this. And in case you're unaware, my next one will be in Liverpool on Monday, the 2nd of March, the day before the Foot and Ankle Show. Go to my website, tysonfranklin.com, click on events. All the details are there. So many podiatrists will say they want to know more about marketing, but I know for a fact that only a few will ever attend any of my marketing masterclasses and learn how to do it properly because they've forgotten their purpose. A lot of podiatrists would rather learn more about shockwave or another way of treating chronic heel pain, or maybe learning more about footwear. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's all important information as long as it aligns with the purpose and your why, what your business is actually all about. If you want more of a particular type of patient or type of podiatry work in your clinic so that it aligns with your purpose, so that it lights you up, it will only happen through getting better at marketing. Okay, the third thing, to bring your purpose or your why back into the center of your podiatry business or career. Number 3 is let it influence your team culture. Share your why with your team. Let them know what matters to you and invite them to share what matters to them. Why did they choose podiatry? Purpose-led teams are stronger and, I tell you, are far more united. If you're adding another nursing home to your books or you're doing more home visits just because you can, but you're expecting other team members to do the work because you don't like to do it, your team culture will get shot to pieces. Okay, and number 4, let it impact your planning. When you plan for 2026, don't just ask, how can I grow my clinic? Ask, how can I create more of what energizes me? Business growth without purpose is basically a trap. And when your goals align with your purpose, that's when work, basically, it feels lighter. We've all heard that saying, if you love what you do every day, you'll never work a day in your life. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I can say I know a lot of people who are really living with purpose and are doing what they love doing each day, and they do seem a lot happier. The next thing I want to discuss is the power of purpose heading into a new year. Heading into a new year without reconnecting with your why is like plotting a course without a compass. You might move faster, but not necessarily in the right direction. Now, I don't know if you've heard this quote. I think this quote's fantastic. And it's, we've covered a lot of ground, but we're lost. And this is from the movie Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. I don't think it was in the book. And it's a phrase used to indicate that while the characters have made progress, they have actually strayed from their original path. So this December is your chance to reset. Not just your goals or your KPIs, but your motivation, your meaning, and your mindset. You don't need to change everything, but if you can reconnect to the purpose behind your practice, you will walk into 2026 more energized and more focused than you have ever been in years. So here is my challenge to you this week. Take 30 minutes and do your own reflection. Answer those 5 questions that I've shared. Don't rush it. Don't overthink it. Just be honest with yourself and then ask, what one change could I make in my clinic to better reflect my why? If you do this, I promise your goals for next year will feel more meaningful and your motivation, basically it will return. Not from hype, but by being aligned with your purpose and with your why. Now, if this episode resonated with you, please share it with a podiatry friend, recommend it to other people, and feel free to email me. I would love to hear your thoughts. I have 2 email addresses, tyson@podiatrylegends.com or tf@tysonfranklin.com. And if you need help reconnecting with what matters most in your business or your career, please contact me. And if you're going to be in the Liverpool area, consider coming along to my Podiatry Marketing Masterclass. Just visit my website, tysonfranklin.com, click on events, and all the information is there. Now, before I wrap up, next week's solo episode is all about designing a better week. We're going to turn this clarity into structure. Because let's face it, most podiatrists don't design their week. Their week happens to them. Patients book in, admin piles up, unexpected problems pop up, and by Friday, you're thinking, what just happened? Where did that week go? But what if your week could be intentionally structured to support your energy, protect your focus, and make your clinic run smoother without needing to change your entire life? All shall be revealed next week. Anyway, that's it from me this week. I hope you enjoy this. I want you to look after yourself, look after your family, and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye for now.